Hello, good morning, good afternoon. Let me go ahead and share my screen now so that I won't forget later.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Good morning, good morning. How are we doing today?
Great. Well, I hope that this session will take my mind off the state of affairs in our country.
Yeah, I hope we can dive in and just kind of get lost for the hour.
That would be great.
I was thinking we could include Google Analytics in our call today based on another webmaster's suggestion. I thought that a lot of webmasters would probably benefit from just a walkthrough of connecting that.
Great.
So that's one of the things on my mind for today's call.
When I put in images, I I do it only with part of the functionality that's there, and I'm not really sure what all those tabs are that I can select from. My
Okay.
files, I usually just put it in the general, accessible area, the farthest right one. And
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if I'm doing it in the best way. So that maybe this time or another time you can talk about that, or maybe I should
Yeah.
just be reading something. But
No,
these
we
office
can get
hours,
into that.
good. Well,
Um,
the office hours are really good because you see things. Um, it's hard. It's more visual anyway. I'm
yeah,
sorry I wore this
definitely.
top. It turns out it does moire patterns.
No, you're okay. We kind of coordinate. It looks
Oh,
very purple to me, and so I'm seeing kind of the same there. But
okay.
we could go over as far as uploading a file. There's only two different locations that you have to worry about. For today's call, I'm just going to be masquerading as a demo webmaster. Um, so I won't be messing with anybody's individual sites, but just using something that I already have so we can get to the step where you have to choose. Um, this is the first question of destination, and this one you don't have to worry about changing. The public local files make it so that it'll be available to the public and visible to them. So for that question, you just have to go next. But the other one, as far as the location, is this question of show in the media library. So
Oh, yeah.
by leaving that left to yes, display in the media library, then that is where it's going into the all files tab. It will be
Okay.
visible to everybody. But if you choose no, I am the only person who should be able to see this or use this media, then for you personally, it will be on my files and my league's files. And it's difficult to say what those tabs are without opening up a page. So while I have the other tab open, I just want to bring up this other window that we're talking about. So the all files, this is the tab where we see the media library through the content that we're editing. So the all files is in sync with yes, display in the media library. For no, going back to the media browser, it's going to show up in my files and in my league files. The only special thing with my league's files there is that, let's say, Liz, you have uploaded something that is set to no, I want to be the only person to use the media. If, let's say, Sally Webmaster from your same league went to my league's files, she's not going to see your file there.
Oh,
Only you yourself would be able to see that file under my files and my league's files. And that is because it would be set to you being the only person.
Well, if I'm a webmaster, why would I have these files there? I mean, can they still be served on the web?
Yes. Making a change here to select no won't make it private. As far as using it across the web, it will make it private only when you're trying to make use of it on your website. So it just
So,
wouldn't be made available to other webmasters to use.
so why would I do that?
It is great if you have sensitive information that you don't need other leagues to make use of on their site. Most of the time, you probably won't do this with images, but I see this a lot with PDFs or other internal files that other leagues probably wouldn't benefit from using, where it has like specific information to your league.
Okay, thank you.
Maurice, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Kathy from Marblehead. I have a question. I'm continuing on what Liz just asked. If you go back to the page before, it asks you to put information in title, alt text, and all that. Can you explain which of that is really important and which of that needs to be, does any of that need to be keywords or anything that search engines pick up on? Like, what do we need to be thinking about when we're filling in these blank boxes?
For the files, you don't have to worry too much about the search engine optimization. That can be more geared towards your pages. But with the fields that are available here to fill in, the alt text is what will appear if the images are broken or not loading properly. But then also for anybody who is accessing the site via a screen reader, that would be people who...
So that's all that one is for?
That's what the alt text is for.
That. Okay, how about the title?
And the title comes up when you hover over the image. That is just always available. So with the image loaded properly, and let's see if we have an example of one.
So that doesn't go to search engines or anyone else either. It's just hovering?
Right, it does not. Within your page, well, within every content page, you do have meta tags here down at the bottom. Within these, you have available tokens. These tokens are representative of specific values throughout your site. Clicking this list, it is a very large list of tokens, and these are examples. So the token is everything between the brackets. The site :name represents MyLO, just like we see at the top of my tab. That is where you can control what the page title is. So what I've seen with other leagues, they replace that just with their league's name. And you can do this across every page. Every content item will have this meta tags tab at the very bottom. And you can make edits to the page title. The description is taken directly from your from the body. So I'm going to scroll up just for a bit. So whatever is at the very top of your home page main body content box, that is being taken for this description, and that's what most search engines are using to show as excuse me, show as the description for what your page is when it's a search result.
Wait a minute, you said the home page, it takes for every page that we do, it grabs it from the home, the description?
Oh, not this is just specific to the home page. It's grabbing it from the home page main body content. But if I went to a different page, it would pull it from that specific.
So if we don't want it to grab the top one, because maybe it's just not, we didn't write it accordingly to be grabbed by a search engine, we can fill it in ourselves right here?
Yeah, and then this, there's no formatting because the search engines aren't going to be bringing over the formatting anyway, so you can just type right in to the field.
Okay.
And let me also just show you another example of it on a different page. It is very much the same, but going through to the editing form. Once that loads up, and we get all the way down to the very bottom to the meta tags. And I'll go ahead and save this one because right now we see the page title and the site name. So I'm going to change that to, this is the demo county site.
So we leave node title there, that word node title, we leave that there, we don't get rid of that?
That is automatically another one being filled in by your page title. So whatever is in this field is filling in the node title token.
Oh.
So if you wanted to shorten it, that's where I would always recommend. If it's a very long page title, you may want to type in something yourself. But otherwise, it's automatically being pulled. And it's best to leave the node title in case you make changes to the page title itself. That token will change with your changes, if that makes sense.
Not really, but.
So anytime that you change the title, let's say along with the meta tag change that I did, I'm going to change the page title. So it's going to be about us, along with LWV Demo County being up here. So we're going to see the tab change from about / MyLO to about us / LWV Demo County. So I'm going to go ahead and publish that. I'm publishing just because I made a change to the title. And I want to see that straight on through.
That's nice.
So leaving that node title, the tab, the name of the tab is the same as the title of the page.
So the node title is the name, what's on the tab.
Right. The node title represents what the title of the page is.
Which it shows up on the tab.
Correct.
And that goes straight through to search engines.
Yes, that is part of the information that they're taking.
Amaris, when you do a title for your page, then it makes it the name of the page when you're referencing it so if you had like four words in your title,
mm-hmm.
Like I am happy now, it would
mm-hmm.
make a page that's I-am happy. You know how it makes a page from that title,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes they can get very long. Is there a way to override that so you have a very short URL?
Unfortunately, not as far as the webmaster being able to do that. Your only control of the, and that's the URL up at the top.
Yeah.
The control over that is by changing the title.
Right.
If you do have a situation like that where it is a very long title and it's going to be one of your main pages, we can help out. But if it's a page where you are using it temporarily, you could also give out the node ID. This is something we went over in the last session.
Yes.
That's kind of like the nickname of the page.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to manipulate the URL that I pulled from here just by clicking on New Draft or right-clicking and copying that link address. That gives me the specific node for this page. So no matter what the page title may have changed to, that node ID is always going to lead there. So that's
It's
an
not very
alternative.
friendly, though.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest, but yeah, I would say at least in your back pocket, you can call on us if that is going to be a part of your site where shortening the URL would be beneficial.
Well, this is related to the syslinks that I requested help with, you know, symlinks where you can have a very short one, but that's different because here we're having things start with my.lwv.org, and I wanted something which had our name server. So anyway,
Right.
keep going with what you're doing.
Well, I thought I would jump into the Google Analytics and show how to make that connection.
Amaris, before you do,
Yeah.
going back to the uploading the file.
Oh, for sure.
When you do that, I was trying to upload a file yesterday that was an MP4 file, and I was trying to do it on the web, and it wasn't letting me. So I can't do it. Can I not do an MP4 file? I have to do a YouTube format.
Yeah, you would have to have the video in some kind of online video player. Because MyLO doesn't have a built-in media player, it has to be uploaded somewhere else first. At least with a YouTube or Vimeo video, you can upload those very easily to the media library.
Yeah, I saw the really nice little short video on that. And I thought, I'll just do this. But when I did it, it wouldn't work because I guess I didn't have the YouTube file. I just had the MP4 file. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the MP4 files, they are, I believe, accepted as far as being uploaded. But if you used it on your website and somebody wanted to view it, they would click on the link, and I believe it has to download. And that's usually not what you want. You want them to just be able to view it without manipulating.
I tried it, and it said it had, you want to play Windows Media Player or something. The user had to execute it somehow.
And have a program on their end.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, YouTube or Vimeo cuts that out where they don't have to come with that. Okay. So I'm going to have my Google Analytics window open. I think I do have a code on this demo site already, but we can just start over with one. So while that's loading up, I'm going to jump into my homepage so I can find the location where we would plug in that code. And that's down under the advanced settings. Okay, I do actually have one here, but we can replace it. So the Google Analytics allows you to track, and by this point, your site would already be collecting information. Well, it takes 2 days usually from the point of connecting it. But to get started, depending on where you start out with your Google Analytics account, you may already have within the account, there are analytics accounts. I probably should have chosen a better word, but your Gmail is associated with Google Analytics. So within that, you can create what are called analytics accounts, and they are essentially different groups of online properties that you can track. Let's see, going through my demo account. No, that is not the one I want. LWV Demo City. Going through a property, and maybe stop me, and is anybody in the process of implementing the Google Analytics or hasn't done it yet, and maybe I should start from creating the analytics account?
Yes, please do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't done anything.
If you want to use our Marblehead, lwvmarblehead.org, I would love it.
To do that, I would have to log in to your Gmail. So I don't know if you'd like me to do that, but I can if you want me to use yours as the demo.
I think I have the Gmail. I think I have the Gmail password. I don't swear I have it. Somebody else has it for sure.
When you're
But if
talking
you-
about the Gmail, are you talking about like the league Gmail account?
That would be best, but you can always just use a personal account. It would be whichever Gmail account you'd like to use, so that once you connect or create the account and connect the tracking ID to it, that Google account or that Gmail account and your site are connected.
But the disadvantage in that is if you kick the bucket or something, you know, it's tied to your personal Gmail account. And if you want to have other people doing the website in the future, it's tied to your Gmail account. I kind of like the idea of having it be a league one because then it's
That's
generic.
what we set up. We set up a league one so that all the email would go in there and other people, everybody would go in there and check it out all the time and see what was happening, you know, what email had come in, or what, you know, from the site, from the old site. But,
right.
Yeah, we have a league. We have a league Gmail account also, and I think I have the username and password.
Okay. And
do you have any arguments against that? I mean, do you agree with what I'm saying, or
no,
do you think
I definitely do agree. I would also say that with the connection or of putting in this Google tracking code, you can always replace it. So if somebody did use their personal account to start using the tracking, and you did have to transition that to somebody else, there would be an interruption of the tracking, maybe a day or two that you might not get if you had to replace the code, but you still could remove what was there before.
And the data from previously would come into the new person?
The previous reporting may not come in to the new, so there would be an interruption, and then also, I guess, that loss of that data.
Yeah.
So yeah, the best would be to use a league specified, or at least something that's separate from your own personal use. Okay, so starting out in Google Analytics, because I was already logged in to my Gmail account, this is where I landed, and I already had an analytics account. If you don't have an analytics account, it's probably going to ask you to set one up, very much like if you were signing into Gmail, it probably would ask you for that same information, but then you would eventually land here. From there,
how did you get there?
I typed in analytics.google.com, or you can just search Google Analytics. Anything to get you over to just the main page. So,
but you logged into your your Gmail account first.
Yes, I had already been logged into my Gmail account, and I'll throw the URL into the chat. So while I was already logged into Gmail, I visited that URL, and it brought me directly to the analytics home page. From here, using the left menu, I am jumping over to admin. And I'm going to create an account.
Oh, are we going to log into to the site for Marblehead?
We are not. We'll just be using the demo site.
Okay.
I'm going to replace my tracking code that I have here.
Okay.
Are you recording this?
Yes.
How do we get the recording?
I have, or hopefully by today, can have that up on our GoToWebinar channel. But excuse me, I have been posting our Zoom recordings there within a couple of days so that we have them available. But that link is in our on our documentation page, the link to the Go to Stage channel, and also in our Google group. So from Create Account, the account name is just for to help you identify what you are going to be tracking. You're also going to have within the account name the ability to create several properties, but that might not matter. You might just have one property per account. This can just be something very generic and just to identify which site it is. From there, I usually just leave the recommended settings on, but you could totally toggle those. And next, by default, web is already selected. So it's asking, what do you want to measure? So we can just go next. And this is where we set up the property details. It is asking for the website name. So well, again, I'll just specify my league's title. And for the website URL, first I do need to select HTTPS because that is how our MyLO addresses come. And jumping back to my league, I'm going to scroll back to the very top and either right-clicking the View Published button or the league logo, I'm going to copy the link address. And this is just because the address up here does not show me the long form of my URL. This is the node ID. So by copying this, and I'll paste it into here, this is what I've copied. This is the long form of my URL that has my state / my league name.
Hold on a minute. I'm confused. The node, I guess I don't understand what a node is because how did you get the long form?
I right-clicked on View Published and copied the link address, or the same idea is right-clicking the league logo and doing the same thing, copy link address. That gives you the URL for your homepage, and the difference between the node ID and the long form of the URL is that the long form of the URL, let's say if I added the demo county league, if I added the word league to the end, let's say I saved this and published this, what would happen is that would be appended to the end of my URL. And that's just the way that the MyLO system works. Anytime you change a page's title, the URL changes with it. So if I use the node ID, so I'm copying, copying from the new draft and pasting that back in, which is the URL that we're actually on, edit local or ILO league. If we use this node ID, this will represent this demo county league page no matter what. So no matter how many page titles I make to this, the node ID will always reach this page, as opposed to the long form URL is always changing with the page title.
So do you want
one remains the same.
Do you want the node version for Google Analytics, or do you want the long version?
For Google Analytics, you will want the long version.
So if you change the title, you'd be real in trouble.
Yes, that is a very good point. Yeah, so for any time that especially if you have that implemented already, if you've changed the page title, it could cause an interruption, but also anytime that you change the page title in the background, the system is creating a redirect. So if I did go through with adding the word league, I would get to use, and let's actually, it's probably easier for me to actually just implement that change. So I'm going to leave the word league in there before I make any change to the Google Analytics and publish that. So now the word league is added in my URL, it's added in my logo, it's added in the name at the top of the page, and here at the bottom. Really anywhere that my league name displays. Let's travel to a different page just so that I can use that same old URL. So this is what my league name used to be. Let's see if that's going to take me back to my league's homepage. So that's where the redirect comes into play. Anytime that you make a change, it's still, that old URL is still going to work. So that should hopefully take care of Google Analytics if League did change their name.
So you have to be careful, though, not to use the same title in 2 different pages. Will it keep you from doing that?
As far as the URL, the URL will solve the problem. You can have pages of the same name. The
same title, I mean.
Yeah, of the same title. The only difference in between them, the system will tack on at the end a -0. So if you had /donate, you'd have /donate-0.
Okay.
And then any other versions of the same name would just be -1, -2, and so on. Okay, so coming back into the new draft of the homepage, I'm just going to come back down to the Google Analytics. So I have that open and ready. And then jumping back to the Analytics tab, I need to add that back in. And okay, I copied the URL. Because we chose the HTTPS portion already, I need to remove that from what I copied. And that is the reason why the default URL is invalid. So not until I remove that is it good to go. The industry category is totally up to you. It shouldn't take me as long as it usually does to choose one. But yeah, that is totally up to you to choose. The reporting time zone should already be set to yours. And
what industry category would you recommend, though? Do we fit into any of those since we aren't an industry?
People in society, online communities, news. I'm not sure. There are a number that I feel like we could make an argument for. Yeah.
And what does that affect? Which category we choose? What effect does it have on something?
I am actually not sure. That is something that I can look into and add to our documentation. Because I have not heard of, or at least seen anything on the reporting side of what that is affecting or the reporting effects. But I will add that to our documentation on Google Analytics. So once you set up the property, you'll go ahead and create that. You do need to agree to the terms of service for both here. And click I accept. And then you're taken over directly to the tracking code page. You'll want to keep this window open because after we plug in our code, we're going to look at the status here. But this is the global site tag code that we want to use. The code here, the text is essentially the same for everybody. The only unique part is the that UA and that string of numbers. We see it down there at the bottom and then also up here. Every other part of the code text in here is going to be the same for everybody as far as the global site tag for Google Analytics. That tracking ID is taken from here. And I believe we also have this text now added to our Google Analytics documentation. So if you have a property already set up and you know the tracking ID, then you can just take the tracking ID and use the text that we provide. But either way, copy this, making sure that you have your tracking ID in there, and come back to the editing form of your home page. And I am just going to replace what's there. And because this is an advanced setting, pretty much any change to one of these drop-down fields will require publishing the homepage. So I'm going to go straight down to the moderation state and publish. And upon saving that, I should be able to, when I go back to the Analytics tab, once I refresh that, it should give me some information under the status. There we go. So the status at least tells us instantaneously that it was plugged in, like pasted in correctly. We just may not get the traffic yet. Well, actually, I'm not sure. I haven't ever tried to get into the report. Okay, yeah, it looks like it isn't going to give you any past reporting, but it at least does start off with a real-time report. It's showing myself on the page. But that is how you can implement that, and using that status will confirm for you if you plugged in the code properly or not. So keeping this window open will help.
Can you go to some reports that have something significant so we could be sure we're looking at the information in the analytics in a way that's helpful to us?
Yeah, let's see if I hopefully have some reporting in a separate account here.
I don't mean to, I mean, if other people have more important questions, just speak up, please.
I'm also interested, so that's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like other webmasters are probably in the same boat. So let's see. Come back home so I can find.
Can I ask you a quick question? Okay. Once you put the global site tag, does that also apply to all the pages that we would want information on, or?
It does include all the pages within.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Great. Okay.
Just it's like the folder, like the hierarchy of your URLs, because your home page or all the pages within begin with this portion of the URL, then that's the way it's collecting all of your site's data.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I am looking at, I only have the Google Analytics set up in our sample sites and our demo sites. And as you can see, there's really not very much traffic at all. I wasn't realizing that I was looking at one until I confirmed. I would say that, well, even without, you know, much data here, one of the first things that you can use is the insights. These will tell you a bit of what your report will produce. Because otherwise you can use the reports tab, and from here, the ones that I would recommend would be, as far as audience, you can look at mobile. Overview of both of those. We know that a lot of online viewers are mobile users now, so I would recommend using both of those because that could give us information on being user-friendly on mobile, and can improve the system for all of us. But for more reporting tips, I need to pick Elizabeth Leslie's brain, my colleague. She is our Google Analytics report guru who produces them for webmasters when they request it. So she'll have some more insight on which reports are best to look at.
I don't know about the others, but I find that we have a very good social media person in our league. She's probably 28 or something. They're probably your age. Anyway, she's great at everything. And I feel like she provides practically everything to people that they really want to know. So I don't feel like our website is as quite as important as it might have been, you know, like 8 years ago or something like that. So when I look at the traffic on my website, unless there's some big event where they're registering, it doesn't seem like it's as important to people as some of the social media information.
I see. Well, and in that, you can also look at the acquisition report. That will give you an idea of what people are searching for, or how they got to your site. That could give you an idea if any little traffic that you do get, it may be coming from social media. So that could tell you that if you beef up your Facebook posts or wherever you are on social media that are posts, you know, to your website or from your website, that could drive additional traffic.
We're trying to do that here. Trying to start an article or something on social media, but then have a link to our website to draw people there for more information, especially with all the election changes. We're worried that people aren't getting it. So we're trying to do that to lure people in, to tie them together, whether it's from our newsletter or from social media. Sometimes we do it better than others, but we're trying.
Yeah, we want to do that too. Is there a better way to link would you start on the web and link it and put the URL on Facebook, or do you start with your Facebook post and link it to the website? What's the best?
Well, we start with social media and newsletter because, in my opinion, I guess from what I read on my phone or on a smaller device, I want shorter bits on social media and in newsletter. And then we try to kind of hook them with something that's like the first paragraph or a couple bullets or a headline, and then have them link to the website from social media or our newsletter. And so we've been, trying to shorten our newsletter with, linking people over to the website instead of just having the link at the bottom of the newsletter, so that they don't have to go through 4 paragraphs on a phone, which we don't think they do, because my kids tell me they don't do that. So not asking too much from people in social media and newsletter, and then, but trying to get them to go to the website to look at our elections page, for example, with like mail-in, you know, changes this year with mail-in ballots or whatever it is. Or we had a big event for the centennial, so trying to draw people to go watch the video and donate or something like that. So yeah, it's the shorter attention span to the hopefully longer attention span, was what I'm told. So
yeah, so we want to do that too, but I thought that we would start, I'm probably wrong. We create the story with a picture on the website and then take that URL and put it in Facebook so that they get like a teaser, and then where it says for more, go to the website. I'm not sure it worked.
I think you're sort of doing that already.
What?
I think you're already doing that.
Do that. And
there are some
site.
posting the other way too, that I think the web provides, and Amaris could speak more intelligently about that. But I'm not our social media person, but I know that we're trying to get people to look at more information on the web. That's how we're trying to do it. And Instagram is you know, lends itself to photos anyway, and Facebook as well. So
yeah. I think that is a philosophy that Elizabeth Leslie always says is bite, snack, meal when it comes to online and social media, because you want to give the smaller bits up front, so that you're luring them into the larger information as you go. You don't want to give too much up front because, just like Eleni said, that scares a lot of people away. They see a big block of text and are usually just going to scroll right past. So think of the Facebook post or social media post as, you know, the smallest teaser information that you can give. Photos are great. And then as you bring them into the site, that's how you can provide more information. And then Kathy Marie also touched on posting, like if you started from the site and posted to Facebook, you have the Facebook or social media buttons throughout your site here. So if you wanted to share an internal page.
Yes, we were wondering how to do that.
Yeah, you can use the share button here. And this is connected to these by default, and then you have more to choose from as far as social media. But if you choose Facebook, it should bring up, well, this page doesn't have a picture, but it'll bring up at least the summary. And again, it's that first, the first few lines of your page. But
so it's set to do that, to just be a teaser.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic.
Let's see if I have a page. Let's see if this picture will be picked up. Usually the picture that gets picked up is coming from the main image field. So I'm not surprised that it's not coming up here.
You mean the main image on that particular page?
Right. Let me see if I can go about adding one, or actually, I believe we have one here.
How does it know which Facebook account to connect to?
Only because I am logged in to my personal account.
But we wouldn't want that. We'd want it to be the Facebook account of the league.
So if you wanted to switch, there's a button here for that. Let's see about doing that. If you switched users, you would have to log out, log back in, and then click on the share button again. So let's say if
You're saying log in and out of Facebook?
Yes. So
okay.
I'm going to, yeah. So once this window comes up, oh, I clicked it already, but it was up in the right-hand corner on the blue Facebook bar. I clicked on the little downward facing caret and it said switch user. And then that brought me here to the login page.
Got it.
Once you logged back in, let's see.
Wait, I'm the same user on my personal page and on the league page. When I just log into don't I get a little drop down to log into the league page? It lets me share it usually.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But either way,
in general, when
you'll have this option of switch user. I'm not sure about that.
The same user. I don't want to switch.
If you're the same user, then you shouldn't have an issue. You should be able to just post. The only thing you may want to specify is that you're sharing it on a page that you manage.
Exactly. I'm sorry. That's exactly what I meant.
Okay. Yeah. So you can share it to, and you can select which page you're managing. But that image finally came in. So it brings in a little bit of a preview, and that's how you can post from your site to your Facebook.
So that brought the image in, even though it's not a header image.
Actually, it is a main image. I'm going to jump into the new draft. We have for this page the hero image is the space at the top of the page. Oh, we do not. Okay, so it was like how I thought it was going to work before. It did, Facebook did take the picture just from the middle of the body. Facebook is intelligent enough to recognize that it was there. So if you have pictures on the page, it may take a little bit, but the Facebook post should include it. Does anybody have any questions right now, or even if it takes us away from what we're getting on? We have a couple more minutes until the end of the hour here.
Well, I have a really big question. As you know, I wrote you about it. We're not showing, which we may have to schedule another session for. We are not showing up in any search. So how does this Google Analytics relate to search? If someone goes to do an organic search, say they search for a League of Women Voters of Marblehead, we do not come up. And that makes no sense to me. So what needs to be done? And if that's too long of a thing, we do it another time.
I would say we probably should set up another call, but at least to get into this a bit, the first thing that you can do to make sure that Google is indexing the page is to search in your URL bar, site : and then your league's URL without the HTTPS portion. So that's starting my.lwv.org/ your league's information.
So even though we've changed the name, or we have a redirect, whatever you call it, to LWV Marblehead, we still use this one.
This is right. This is what Google will recognize. The page itself is still, or the content is still found at these my.lwv.org addresses. You just have an additional address that leads there as with the domain name.
So it always leads there.
Right. It will,
because the way that 301 redirect was set up.
Right.
However, I was able to find Marblehead, LWV Marblehead, right away.
And just by searching
in LWV Marblehead, you can find it. If you put in League of Women Voters Marblehead, you cannot.
Oh, huh. I didn't try that.
Yeah, we'll only pick up in a search LWV Marblehead.
I would say with that, the what we were going over with the meta tag section, you had mentioned that you might tweak what is shown down at the bottom, and I mean, as far as the description, changing it from what is taken from the body section, and putting in kind of keywords here. These will be picked up by the search engine to be included in the results. So that's an additional place where you can put keywords.
I just searched for League of Women Voters Marblehead, and it gave me the same result.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, none of us have been able to get it.
That's so weird. And I can at least say that when I did search on let's see, Google Search Console is another resource to confirm if they are indexing or crawling your site properly. And I did see about page. I did see that Marblehead is being indexed.
I was able to find it as well.
Oh my God. Well, that's awesome.
So we solved your problem.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
And this is the other thing where we can request additional indexing. This should give Google kind of a bump to add you to their list to say, hey, this page has been updated, but they should already have at least a somewhat recent version of your site.
Okay, and you guys are sure you found the website, not the Facebook page, because our Facebook page comes up and all kinds of,
well, that's a good point.
but not the website.
Let me
You get a
also
whole
do
page
that.
of stuff
It
comes up.
says MyLO on it, one of them. Yep.
I got the
Right.
website, yeah.
Oh,
Let's see if we have any additional. Okay, no, I have just that one there.
Yeah, I got the MyLO one.
oh, wow. Well, that's really good news.
Definitely.
You can check that off.
Yeah. Well, what if somebody puts in a further question, was it like voting in Marblehead, voting information in Marblehead, voting that, like, where do we, so that we have so much voting information on there, we did for today's primary. How do we let the search engines know that if someone puts in voting in Marblehead, they would get to our page also?
If whether or not you change the description, because it's taken from the body, I'd make sure that you have the various versions of that phrase included in the page.
So
Yeah. Kind of using voter info, voting, make sure that you use all the different words that people might search for. And even repeating Marblehead on that page wouldn't hurt. I see that a lot with league voting pages where they'll say voting in Pierce County or whatever, just to, solidify that because it also might be the same search that somebody would be conducting.
Or vote by mail or things that are really important right now.
Okay, so that description is really key to showing up on searches.
And not just that, but it because the description is taken from the body of the page, you could even just type into the body, you could have a hidden list, or I'm sorry, not hidden, but it would be, you could have just an informal list if you couldn't incorporate them into the text of the page. But it probably would be best if you could work that in to the sentences and make use of those as additional keywords.
Someone told us recently that when they searched for us, they were taken to the national page and they found like our part of the national page, but they were just terribly confused. And I said, oh, you're looking at the national page, not our page. But I thought that was interesting that was the first thing that they didn't realize where they were,
Yeah, that is unfortunately the thing with all of them. LWV.org is a very well-performing domain, so that is the reason why it is going to usually appear at the top. Yeah.
Okay.
But I can at least say that these pages that are coming from the National League, they have a link to your league or your league site. So for Kathy Marie, for your league to be able to update this, National League has recommended to us that the way to do that is to email roster support at lwv.org. And let me put that in the chat as well. Once you, or I'm sorry, the roster support at lwv.org is if you have questions, but you should be able to log into to your league's profile within the national database and update that. There should be a field, and let's see if I can.
Oh, update it with our with our URL.
Yeah, I'm going to log in here to our state just so that I can show you where that's at. So clicking over to League, let's see, here we go. You have a field for website. So just make sure you update that. From roster support at lwv.org, they have told us that they update this every 24 hours or update the information on these pages. So whenever you make the update within the national database to your website, you should hopefully see that change by the next day on your league's page. But
Okay.
if you don't see that change, then that's where you'll want to email roster support. But yeah, it's nice to have those up to date.
And sometimes there are pages that are really should be archived that are coming up that aren't really what they consider their recent website. You know, they implemented it in some other way. And when you do the search, you get to those instead of the real current website.
Yeah, yeah. For those, I'm not sure if they have new content to replace that. So that might be why there are some kind of just out there floating around still. I do encounter those where you get to the National League site and it kind of just says, we don't know where to send you.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's best to have these up to date just because they are usually somewhere near the top of the Google search results.
Well, thank you very much.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you all for attending. I hope that we were able to get into all of your questions. And if any of you have any follow-up for me, please do catch me an email or give me a call. But I appreciate you all for being here with me today.
I have a quick question. It's California related. I don't want to drag anybody down the California rabbit hole, but I hope it's quick. I was hoping to just bend your ear about it.
Oh, for sure. Well,
Okay.
I'll give a second. Yeah, if anybody
Sure.
wanted to stick around, you can. But thank you all for being here.
Thank you. I got some really good tips out of that. Thank you.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.